Hello everyone. Today we have Q&A episode number 7. So let's get into some questions. First up, coming from Rovos, would you rather go to Worlds 2019 or have any 10 cubes you want? Definitely Worlds for that experience. This was an older question, but now we know that Worlds 2019 is going to be in Australia. I'm super pumped for Australia. I've always wanted to go there, and I'm super hyped that Worlds is going to be in Australia. So for sure, I would definitely pick Worlds. Next up, from Mungo Lunchtime, do you practice any non-WCA events, and if so, which ones? And do you consider cubing to be a hobby for nerds? For the most part, I'm a WCA guy only. I do like to pick up and solve a few non-WCA puzzles, but I don't practice any of them like on a daily basis or anything. I do like doing like bigger cubes. The MF8 that I just got has been a lot of fun to solve on, and then I have the Yushin 9x9 and 10x10. I don't solve them as much, they're a bit bigger. I've solved the 9x9 a bunch though, so I like those big cubes. And then every so often I'll pick up some mirror blocks or Kilominx or Ready Cube, but I don't really dedicate a lot of time to practicing any of them. I don't necessarily consider cubing a hobby for nerds. I feel like there are a lot of self-proclaimed nerds that like cubing. I'd like to think of myself more as a geek. But no, cubing is really a hobby for anyone that wants to get into it, not just nerds. GT Solves asked, if magnetic 3x3s became illegal in comp, what cube would you use? I was actually just thinking about this the other day because I was playing with my Valk, and it's really just still an amazing cube, so I'd probably use either the Valk or the GTS2, because I did switch to the GTS2 from the Valk, both non-magnetic, and the non-magnetic variants of both of those puzzles are still really amazing. Right now my main is the GTS3M. I haven't tried a non-magnetic version of the GTS3, so I can't really judge it on that. I'm not sure if I would still use the GTS3 even if it didn't have those magnets in it. As of right now, I'd probably use the Valk or the GTS2. Noah Height asked, what is your favorite music artist or genre? This is an older question, so I'll skip the World Cup stuff. And also, how many different mains have you had since you started cubing? I don't have a particular genre that I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of a lot of different genres, and I listen to a lot of different music. But I'd say overall my favorite music artist is Ed Sheeran. He's awesome. And actually Ed Sheeran has a ton of different styles in his songs. He does really good hip-hop songs, he does really good ballads, he can do a really good folk song if he wants to, and I feel like his style is really diverse, and that's one of the main things that draws me to his music. I've had a lot of different mains since I started cubing. The first one I ever used, obviously aside from the Rubik's brand, I guess would be the Guhong V2, and that was my main, but not when I got into competitive cubing, because at that time stickerless cubes were still illegal, and the Guhong V2 that I had was stickerless. So my first stickerless cube that I used in competition was the Guanlong, then I switched over to the Aolong V2. That was my main for a very long time. Then I switched it up for a tiny bit to the Gogon Yuexiao. That didn't stay my main for a while. I used it in one comp, it didn't go very well. I switched over to the X-Men Tornado for a while, then I went to the Valk, the GTS2, I used the GAN RSM for a while, then I used the MF3 RS2M for a while, and now I'm using the GTS3. I probably left out a couple in that sequence, but those are the big ones that I used for a really long time. Also in particular, I used the boron-treated GTS2M for a really long time. That was an amazing cube, and still is an amazing cube, one of my favorite 3x3s to this day. NM Cubing asked, what's your dad's main speed cube? Right now my dad is using the Angstrom GTS2M. He likes like the stronger magnets and that stable feel, and I felt like that might be the one that he should go for, so he's been using that and getting good times with it recently. He'll also be competing in 3x3 for the first time tomorrow at Slow and Steady, so I'm excited to have him competing in 3x3 for the first time. He's done 2x2 in Pyraminx before as well, but 3x3, gonna be going in with that Angstrom GTS2M. Hopefully he does well. Leo Annett asked, do your friends at school know that you cube? And do they think it's cool? Yeah, I'd say the majority of my friends all know that I cube. I don't really go anywhere without a cube. So at this point, almost everyone that knows me knows that I cube. They just ignore it at this point because they just kind of take it for granted that I'm always going to have a cube with me, and they're used to me solving, so it's nothing really new to them at this point. I think they think it's cool. It's always fun to get those first impressions of the people that have never seen it before. They're really kind of like mind blown. They think it's pretty cool. All my friends that are used to it still think it's cool, I hope, but it has less of a wow factor the more you see it, you know? TNL Cubing said, these Q&As are so funny and enjoyable. Thanks TNL Cubing. Also, do you see yourself ever reaching a world-class status speed-wise? I would love to. That would be amazing. I'm like kind of sub 10 on 3x3. So I'm way far away from being world class at 3x3. I'm really not close to being world class at anything right now. But hopefully one day, 3x3 is my favorite event. It's the one I'm trying to advance the most in most recently. So if I had to be world class at anything, obviously it would be 3x3. Because that's also the one I'm most motivated to learn and improve on and get better at. So I think it could be possible to get world class. It would just probably take a while. TS Cuber asked, which puzzle hardware do you think has the most potential to get better? So if we're talking WCA, I would probably say 6x6. Bigger, even layer cubes always have like not the best stability. Sometimes they have popping issues, especially if you're using it and you don't have very accurate turning. So the shadow is really good. I just got that. It's definitely been a bump in hardware for me. I think the Aoshi GTS M is also good, but I haven't really tested it yet. 6x6s are definitely getting a lot better, but they still have a lot of room to improve. And I'm hoping there will be a Haze 6 coming out eventually. I'd imagine there would be. So hopefully that will be like a revolutionary 6x6. Also, I guess clock, but I've never used a clock. I don't even have a clock, so I really don't know. Last up, we have a question coming from Chris Yen. Out of what you've unboxed yourself, what cube had the highest expectations but the most disappointing performance? Man, Chris was asking the good questions. I was super hyped up for the San Juan Mars, that original San Juan Mars. I thought it would be amazing. I thought it could be my main. It looked like a GTS 1, and that was like a really good cube at the time. And so I thought that this was just going to be like an upgrade. It was coming from a sub-branch of Moyu, so I was super pumped. I pre-ordered it, I got it, and it was just, ugh, it was all over the place. Lockup City, not a good cube. As a follow-up to that, I was excited for the Mars S, because I figured, oh, well, a lot of people didn't like this cube to begin with. Maybe they fixed it with the Mars S. No, it was still not that great. The Mars S definitely fixed a lot of things that were wrong in the original Mars, but it didn't get everything right, and there were a lot better cubes out at the time, so it never really stood out in my opinion. Alright, so that wraps it up for Q&A number 7. I tried to answer most of the questions from Q&A number 5 that I didn't get to answer last Q&A, because I did the one with all the famous cubers at Nationals. If you haven't seen that one, link in the description. It was a cool video. But if you want your question to be featured on the next episode coming out on the 1st of next month, leave your questions in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer all of your questions in the next episode. So that's about all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.